All right, everybody, welcome to Talking Taker, episode number 37. We appreciate you joining us on our encyclopedic exploration, digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. This is yet another round of Dead Man Talking, so settle in, pour a cup of coffee, grab a drink, whatever you gotta do, plug your headphones in, and come along for the ride with us. My name is Alex Dorio. I'm one of your co-hosts, one of the tag team partners, one of the creatures of the night, and I am joined, as always, by my wrestling buddy, my tag team partner, my friend, Travis White. And Travis, my man, it's so timely that we're talking about this subject here on this episode of the podcast. You know, the world we live in is so turbulent. There's so much drama. There's different stuff in the news with politics every day. And, you know, going back and watching this here, I had no idea that in 1997, The Undertaker cured racism. I mean, did you realize that?
I had no idea, brother. I had no idea that the whole Black Lives Matter thing was going on in the WWF in 1997.
So ahead of the times.
He single-handedly cures it here. Man, this is crazy. Yeah. How topical.
Yeah. We're, of course, talking about King of the Ring 1997 on this episode, and just a wild build-up to a match between Undertaker, the WWF champion, defending his title against the leader of the Nation of Domination, Faarooq, a.k.a. the legendary Hall of Famer, Ron Simmons. I mean, that is wild enough, but we've also got a lot of stuff, a lot of other stuff, a side feud that we're going to talk about, and we're just going to dive right into it, folks. We're going to talk about all this build-up as much as we can, and I know we kind of started this podcast a few months ago saying we're going to cover the matches, and back then there wasn't as much build-up to talk about in the lead-up to these matches, and now the show's kind of evolved. The show that we're watching, WWF in 97, has evolved. Our show's kind of evolved to cover the build-up. And it's probably going to be a little bit light on the match today just because there's so much important character stuff with The Undertaker. We were just talking before a show that we got to cover today. So, as always, give us your feedback. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. If you say, we don't want to hear as much build-up, we want to hear about the match, or we want to just talk about more of the build-up, let us know all that stuff. You know, we love your feedback on all the social media stuff. And just for complete transparency, we're trying to record these episodes and do what we can to get them out. We both got other stuff going on, and wish this could be our full-time job. Sadly, it's not. So, Travis is actually recording this in his car, just picking up the Wi-Fi off his house, using some
at work
earbud phones. We tested it out. We think it sounds okay, but I wish we were professional and had it perfect for you. We're gonna try to make it work, but just in case anything doesn't go right on there, we're just two fans having fun doing this and trying to get something out there. So we appreciate your grace and your patience as we try to record this and squeeze these in, because we've got lives and families too, and I know you guys understand that. So we're just letting you know in case it doesn't quite sound up to quality, but hopefully it'll sound just great. And yeah,
I'm gonna do my best here as I sit in the car and hold this microphone right in front of my face. So see how it goes. So, but man, speaking of, there's so much going on in these episodes, and I mentioned, I think last episode of Talking Taker, that Vince Russo has taken over the writing of the show, and you can tell, man, Undertaker has multiple segments on each episode of Raw. It's like if you miss an episode of Raw, you miss something. Nowadays, you can miss 3 weeks, and the same guys are still feuding. Man, back here in 97 and in this May and June era, you can't miss a week, man. Stuff happens all the time. So we're going to build up to June 8th, 97 here at the Civic Center at Providence, Rhode Island. Let's kick it right in, man. By the way, I want to say these reality check commercials on Monday Night Raw are absolutely horrible. Those of you who haven't seen them.
After Adam and I got married, he just sort of let himself go. It was a big turnoff. Let's just say the choo-choo wasn't visiting the station much. But lately, he's been looking F-I-N-E fine.
Just a sexy boy. Sexy boy. I'm just a boy toy. Boy toy.
I think it must be his new George Clooney haircut. go now.
I know I'm sexy. I've got the looks.
They're these like sultry, like risque, pre-attitude era, like pre I don't know, but they're uncomfortable and poorly acted too.
Well,
They're bad.
You brought up Vince Russo, and you can tell he wrote every single one of those silly commercials.
Bro.
No offense.
I love Vince. I'm a member of his brand. I'm going to be on his podcast in a few months. I meant to tell you that. So anyway, yeah, I'll let you guys know when I'm on there. So anyway, yeah, bro. But bro, there's so much Russo all over this, bro. It's incredible.
It is Russo-rific in all the best ways.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to pick up on Raw, episode 209, May 12th, 1997. We last left you with In Your House, Cold Day in Hell. The Undertaker picking up the win over Stone Cold Steve Austin, but then getting a Stone Cold Stunner as the show goes off the air. And Stone Cold walking tall, and he's going to go off to do some more stuff with Shawn Michaels and with the Hart Foundation. And we're going to come back to him again, later on. But Undertaker is going to go off in a new direction and picking up an old direction because we kick things off here with Mankind coming out, and we haven't seen Paul Bearer since he got a fireball, quote unquote, a light fireball in the face from The Undertaker back at Revenge of the Taker. And so Mankind gets to bring out Paul Bearer after a month away, and this is the infamous shot of we're going to see Paul Bearer over the next few weeks with his face covered in bandages, hiding the scars from being horribly burned. Mankind says he's been in hiding and he didn't want to show himself, but now he's coming out to basically get revenge.
No, those of you that remember the Yeti from the Dungeon of Doom on WCW, this is like a short, fat version in a suit. It's incredible. He's got his whole head wrapped up and looks like a mummy, man. It's ridiculous. But yeah, and Mankind calls him a defenseless man. A defenseless man. Uncle Paul was disfigured, and Paul Bearer comes out and says he's going to give Undertaker one more chance for them to get back together. And if the Undertaker doesn't accept his final offer, Paul Bearer is going to reveal a huge secret that he made while standing over the grave of the Undertaker's mother and father.
One more chance, Undertaker! If you do not accept this final offer, I'm going to do something that only you know, Undertaker. A secret that only you know! But I will reveal it to the whole world! It is a secret that I made while I was standing over the graveside of your mother and father! You heard me, Undertaker. Come back, or I'm gonna hurt you.
This is the beginning of the story of Kane. Right. The beginning of the debut of The Undertaker's brother, another just milestone moment, not just in The Undertaker's history, but in the history of the WWF. This is one of the biggest, and I would argue one of the greatest long-term storytelling devices that's ever been done in the WWF, honestly, in wrestling. I mean, this is the rare time that doing this soap opera-esque stuff just really pays off, and it works, and it's memorable, and this is the beginnings of it. The Undertaker, Paul Bearer is saying The Undertaker, he's going to reveal a secret about The Undertaker that, like you said, he promised his parents on their deathbeds he would keep secret, so he doesn't reveal too much, but in a way, it's just huge because we've never, ever heard anyone talk about The Undertaker as a human being, basically. We've never heard any talk about his family or any of this side of him. We've just been seeing him as this zombie, as this movie monster, and now Paul Bearer is peeling back the onion and talking about The Undertaker, the person.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote. It's really humanizing The Undertaker here. So way more in between 1990 and 96, you would never heard this. Definitely the first 3 or 4 years when he was just that undead zombie guy. But yeah, it's really adding another layer, like you said. I mean, we've talked on the Talking Taker about it's like a comic book, and you got the different volumes. Well, here's the next volume. You know, the next story arc is opening up here, and Undertaker's more human. I always say more human than human. He's more human at this point because now, yeah, he's got a mom, he's got a dad, he's got something else. You know, so it really, really blew me away. Man, I know where the story's going, but I'd never seen this actual promo. So it was really neat to see and just see how the audience and how the characters are going to react as we build here. Again, this is not even building up to the actual match, but it's building this character of the Undertaker, which is cool.
Well, that comes a little bit later in the night when Faarooq comes out to do an interview with Mr. Man in the ring, and continuing the trend that we've seen lately, Mr. Man just says, well, how does it feel to be number one contender, Faarooq? Just,
exactly.
No build-up, no number one contender match. He's just the number one contender. And as if the Kane stuff wasn't interesting enough, now we've got a completely wild and interesting build-up to this match in a completely different way, because Faarooq starts talking about, he's asking Mr. Man, well, when was the last time a black man ever held the WWF Championship? Never.
Yep.
And he goes on and on talking about all these racial indiscrepancies in the world and in professional wrestling. And Mr. Man asks him, well, isn't what you're saying racist? Like, they're just diving into social issues and all this stuff. And Faarooq lets out one of the best lines in the history of this podcast.
But I tell you what, at King of the Ring, King Faarooq will live again. Because you see, your white savior, the Undertaker, will be a dead man.
He gives him a new nickname. So we've got with the man who walks with angels.
Yep.
We got
the Phenom, the Dead Man,
the Phenom.
The Dark One.
The Dark One for Once Upon a Time. Now we got your white savior. So
that one didn't catch on so much.
Thank God. But yeah. Can you see the crowd chanting "Your white savior"? Clap, 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 clap. That'd be ridiculous. So he says your white savior, the Undertaker, will be a dead man at the King of the Ring. So just add that to the list of nicknames. So that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
At what point was Undertaker he had nothing to do with racial bigotry or anything? It just comes out of nowhere that he's the white savior.
Well, I mean, they're definitely pushing boundaries here, but Faarooq was selling the crap out of it, dude. He is all about it. He is. Oh yeah. I mean, we know, you guys listen. You know the intensity of Ron Simmons and his famous catchphrase.
Yes.
And man, he can cut a promo, and he was all in. He was all in on the Nation and doing this. Doing this angle, doing this gimmick, and it cuts a heck of a promo. It's kind of silly and ridiculous to be talking about it on pro wrestling, but he's trying his best to get this over.
Oh yeah, absolutely, he sure is. And moving right along here, because we got so much to talk about. That leads us to again more segments with Undertaker and the Nation on the show here. We got Savio Vega, not Quang, versus the Undertaker. So the Nation, of course, they interfere for a DQ after Undertaker hits a tombstone. He's about to win, and they come in and they beat him down. And Faarooq gets a leather belt or some kind of leather strap. I don't know if it's a Yavapai Indian strap or not.
Not sure.
But he starts whipping. Undertaker with it. And then he picks up the WWF Championship, or title, 1997, you could say title. He picks up the WWF title and poses with it for the crowd, which I thought was pretty cool,
Yeah,
go for it.
I mean, he was the first black WCW champion, and now there's a possibility that he's going to become the first black WWF champion. So they don't really play into that WCW history, but if you were watching back then, I mean, you knew that. So it's cool to see that parallel, and you could buy into Faarooq. He hasn't had a huge push here in the WWF, but you can buy into his history in WCW and NWA and all that. And I mean, he's a legitimate contender. I think you could buy into him with that, even though he's just randomly the number one contender here. And so later on in the show, like we said, there's just so much just in this one episode. Undertaker does a promo backstage, and he's sitting in there's a purple light around him, but it kind of looks like he's in the shower or something. I don't know where he's supposed to be. And Jim Ross asks him to comment on Paul Bearer and on Faarooq. he says that with regards to Paul Bearer, that some secrets are better left buried, and with regards to Faarooq, that this was a little weird to me. Undertaker said that it's never been his physical prowess that has led him to victory, but his mental strength. Which, are you sure about it? Like, Undertaker's 6'10", 320 pounds.
Right. He leaps like a cruiserweight.
Yeah. So he says he's going to have to call
Don't sell yourself short, pal. He's selling himself a little short.
A little bit. It's not one of his best promos, but he is all over this show. He is. If Undertaker took a back burner last month with all the Stone Cold Heart Foundation stuff, he is coming back up to the forefront this month. He is all over every episode of Raw, building up into this pay-per-view, including. We'll move on to next week, Raw 210 on May 19th.
I want to. I want to say something about this episode we just talked about. In that promo, he says, Undertaker says he's going to the Vault of Souls and unleashing a demon to help him defeat the nation. So, I don't know what that's about, but I want to just mention a couple things. It's iconic. This is the episode. If any of you listeners listen to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, they just had their RVD episode. They talked about his first match on Raw with Jeff Hardy. This is the episode with it.
Yep.
They announced Jeff Hardy from Virginia. It's like, what?
Whoops.
Yeah. And also, this is the episode where Sean first gets called a degenerate by Brett. This is the one with the wheelchair where he's supposed to kick him out before the show goes off the air, but Brett keeps like filibustering and the show goes off, which leads to an actual backstage fight, I think, the next week. So anyway, just some iconic stuff. Go check it out. The network does have the extended cut that has everything that happened after Raw went off the air, but it's a pretty iconic episode of Raw, and I did not realize it was the same episode with all this Undertaker build on it. So pretty cool. But yeah, moving on to next week with Raw, episode 210, May 19th, 97. So go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, you can't go wrong watching any of these episodes of Raw. If you want to go back and go through these episodes, they're highly entertaining. There's so much happening, including there's more. On this episode, we get the beginning of those infamous Mankind sort of shoot-style promos with Jim Ross, where they peel back the layers on Mankind and reveal Mick Foley and Dude Love and Cactus Jack, and these are the interviews that turn him into the megastar that becomes a future WWF champion. It really is all tied back to these character-building interviews he does with Jim Ross here. And he's so that's going on, and he's of course one of Undertaker's greatest rivals. One of Undertaker's not greatest rivals, but is going to become a pivotal part of this feud, is Ahmed Johnson, who gets interviewed backstage. Vince McMahon asks him to comment on Faarooq playing the race card and all this. Obviously, Ahmed Johnson has been feuding with Faarooq ever since he came into the company, but Ahmed, we're seeing a different side of him here. He says, I wish you hadn't asked me about this, Mr. McMahon, because if I'm being honest, I agree with Faarooq that black men haven't been given opportunities here in the WWF. There's never been a black WWF champion, but he does maintain his babyface side because he says he doesn't want Faarooq to do it his way, and instead Ahmed Johnson, he says he wants to be the Hank Aaron of the WWF and become the first black champion. So a little bit of a tease into what we're going to be building up to here in the next couple weeks, with Ahmed teasing a little bit of heelishness right there.
Yeah.
Faarooq goes on to fight Rocky Maivia and get a quick little win over here. And Vince says something that he's just flat out wrong about here. He says that Faarooq is right. He says Faarooq said there's never been a person of color to be WWF champion. And he says that's right, but that's not true. There's never been a black champion, but Iron Sheik, Pedro Morales, Yokozuna. I mean, there have been people of color. Like, you could definitely point to African Americans have not been given a fair shake at the WWF champion, but there have been people of color to hold the WWF title. Mr. Man keeps saying people of color, and that part's just not quite true.
Clearly a racist. It's the only color. He can't see any other color, but I guess everybody else is white, and he's
I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing there, but this match with Rocky Maivia, Faarooq beats him pretty quickly, but and the Nation starts to beat him up at the end, but then Faarooq calls him off. Again, planting seeds there for something else we're going to see coming. Again, it's amazing how everyone on these episodes has something going on.
Yeah.
Every person, from Rockabilly to the main event, everyone has a storyline, and a lot of these storylines intertwine. It's really amazing to see when you put some freaking effort into the storytelling, what you can get. Speaking of Undertaker here, though, Vince has an in-ring promo with Undertaker.
This is absurd.
Okay, so he asked Undertaker about last week and the secret, and of course, Undertaker just at this point he glosses over the secret and says that
Faarooq decided to play the race card. Well, Faarooq, you need to understand that the Undertaker, he's not the white savior, because I don't recognize color. I'm not white. I'm not black. What I am is the reaper of wayward souls.
and the crowd pops to that. Like, you're not white? You are white.
Dude, you just know that Vince McMahon thinks he is solving racism with all these promos. He's like, he thinks this is the greatest thing ever. He's going to bring the world together with the Undertaker. He's not white. He's not black. He's just the Undertaker.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a race. and this is going to unite everyone. Like, this is just the most ridiculous Undertaker promo ever. All time.
Yeah. It's horrible. And it's just, I mean, I guess Martin Luther King was looking forward to the Undertaker. He just didn't know it, to get everybody on board. So I had a dream that one day Undertaker will solve racism, and here it is. So who knew, man? We never saw it coming. But Vince presses again about the secret, and Taker says it's not the time. And then here comes the Yeti. He's not really a Yeti anymore. He's got some bandages on the side of his face, I think. Paul Bearer comes out. And I want to say, Paul Bearer is doing some of his best work in this feud right here.
Hands down.
He is incredible. He comes out. He's got a new swagger about him. He's arrogant. He's a jerk. He's got Undertaker, in the palm of his hand, basically. So he's playing it up, and he recalls the day that they buried his parents. Says, I'm going to reveal that secret. And Undertaker, for the first time I can remember since we've been recording these episodes, he's speechless. I mean, he just stands there like shocked, and again, humanizing him a little more, giving him some more nuance to his character. He's absolutely speechless, because he knows that Paul Bearer's got something he can't go back from, So Paul demands he comes back and says, if you're not subservient, which again, wonderful Vince McMahon's word a day calendar, if you're not subservient in 7 days, I'm going to open Pandora's box and reveal that secret. So, pretty cool stuff.
It's so funny, we as wrestling fans, it's the biggest problem we have is that when we watch wrestling now, we just complain. It seems like, you and I, we both, I think we both try to stay positive when we talk about wrestling, and we want to be positive.
Oh, yeah.
Even on this podcast, even if stuff's crappy, we try to look for the good stuff. But wrestling fan in general, on the internet especially, it's just complain about where storylines are going and where they should be going and where we want them to be going. And some of it's justified. Some stuff is terrible, but some stuff you gotta wait and let it see where it plays out. And I'm saying that because I wonder what it would have been like back then. Because to be honest, I was all in on WCW at this point. I consider myself always a WWF guy, but at this time in '97, I was all in on WCW versus NWO. I don't remember. I have a loose memory of watching some of this stuff, but I didn't watch every episode, every segment of Raw back then. And I wonder if people really enjoyed this Undertaker and Kane thing as it was going on, or if they were just complaining about this. Because going back and watching it and knowing where it ends up, to me, it's like the best mystery angle they've ever done. It's the only one that actually has like a really great payoff, and I'm sure they didn't know exactly how far they were going to drag it out. They didn't know when they would reveal it. At this point, I don't believe it if they say that they did. I don't believe that they had it planned out for 6 months, that they're going to reveal it at that In Your House Bad Blood with the Hell in a Cell. I don't believe that they could have had that lined up. With all the chaos that's going on with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and everything, I don't think they did. I think they knew, we're going to reveal Kane. We're going to reveal The Undertaker's brother. But I don't think they knew how long they would do it. And it's just incredible to rewatch it, man. It's one of the greatest storylines. You know, Bruce Pritchard on Something to Wrestle says it's his favorite thing he's ever done. And it really is. It's one of the best angles they've ever done, and one of the only times they've done a mystery like this where it pays off. Yeah, I'm just ranting and raving here.
Well, it pays off satisfactorily. It's not like the guest GM, Raw GM, or who's Vince McMahon's son, or who hit Austin. Oh, it was Rikishi. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
It's and even WCW, we still don't know who pulled up in who drove the white limo, the white Hummer. You know, it's been 20 years. We got no idea who drove the white limo in WCW. So yeah, this is it's going to pay off very satisfactorily. Is that a word? I don't know. Ask Vince McMahon's calendar. It's going to satisfy like Snickers. I want to say something else about this episode of Raw. This is the Sunny Days comment. Very infamous interview. This is where Michaels goes off script and says Sunny Days, and that literally leads to a backstage brawl with them, which cancels the second from the top match at King of the Ring. Supposed to have the Undertaker and Faarooq. The other match was supposed to be Bret and Shawn. 10-minute time limit with the Hart Foundation handcuffed to the ring post. How cool would that have been?
Yeah.
How cool. But because Shawn said Sunny Days, they fought and pulled each other's hair backstage and canceled that match. Well, so, it's just crazy. Like all this changing stuff, man.
It points to something we mentioned a couple weeks ago, that Undertaker is the constant. This feud with Paul Bearer is the constant. It is there. Everything else is changing and in flux. And we're going to see that again on next month's show too. And as we continue through 97, all this stuff with Bret Hart and Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels is just changing week by week by week because of what's happening backstage. And here's the Undertaker with the storyline with Paul Bearer. And they're there every week, and there's no drama, and they're just doing they're doing great work with this great storyline. And so the Undertaker is establishing his legacy, you know, with Vince McMahon as well backstage.
Sure.
And like you can depend on this guy. You know, he's not going to give you all this ridiculous nonsense backstage. So pretty cool.
He's a freaking white savior.
Anyway.
That's so. I can't even say that. That's so dumb.
I know.
Go back and check out these Sunny Super Soaker commercials too. They're horrible. They're horribly unintentionally non-PG, and the way her life's gone, her life choices now, it's a shame to watch these. But
shame.
Anyway,
what are you talking about? Wetter's better, dude.
Wetter's better. Well, Raw 211, May 26, 97, from my wife's hometown, Evansville, Indiana.
There you go.
I wonder if she was there. No. She was not.
Well, Shawn Michaels is there, and I've always remembered this episode because he comes out wearing this black and white Homer Simpson t-shirt that I am pretty sure my dad also has. And I've never forgotten that. I don't know why he's wearing it. Not wearing a WWF shirt. He's wearing a Homer Simpson t-shirt, and I'm 98% sure my dad has the same one, or a very similar one.
Well, plus that's like two of your favorite things converging into one, you know, super fan of The Simpsons, especially at this time. So to see that on TV was amazing for you, I'm sure, as an 11-year-old.
It was, and there's a fantastic, one of the best Raw matches of all time with Owen and Bulldog versus HBK and Austin on this episode of Raw too for the tag team titles. If you've never seen that, go back and watch that, and watch this whole episode too. We're gonna break it down real quick here. So yeah, you want to start with Paul Bearer?
Yeah, this is where. Yeah, Paul Bearer's backstage, and he's got a new look here. We see him. He's got his hair is not dyed black.
Yeah,
he's got no makeup. He's got like no white pale ghost makeup. I mean, he's got a fake injury on the side of his face, but
no mustache.
You know, he's not. Yeah, no mustache. He looks more human. He even calls himself out and said,
"Yes, I've changed. My face has changed. My hair's changed. My voice changed. I'm
basically he's dropped the whole, woo, yeah. I mean, he's still somewhat a little bit, but he's more. He sounds like a Southern guy from Memphis, honestly, to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's Percy Pringle here, but
Right.
he says that the secret he has is in his safe deposit box with his attorney. So, and if anything happens to him, the secret will be revealed. So he's threatening Undertaker not to lay a hand on him. When he said the safety deposit box, it reminded me of another Undertaker match we will get to eventually with Shane McMahon and whatever that secret was in the safety deposit box that never paid off.
Yeah, speaking
But this
of
one
which,
will pay off.
dude, and
Yeah.
Paul Bearer is just chewing the scenery, man. Like you said
Yeah.
earlier, he is relishing this opportunity, like making faces. We've always talked about his faces, but he is just over the top in all the best ways. He's just
Oh, yeah.
he's being a Batman movie villain, or Batman TV show,
Yes.
completely over the top, and he's pulling it off, man.
Yeah.
It's incredible. He is playing to the balcony, as you've talked about a lot on here.
Yeah. And on this show, we got Faarooq on commentary as D'Lo and Bob Sparkplug Holly are fighting here, and he's got these more racial overtones, all this commentary about being the first black WWF champion. Says Undertaker's a dead man at King of the Ring, and another one of those Undertaker backstage promos where he's in the shower, the purple shower. But this one is strange because it has this audio, like he gives his whole promo, and you can't hear a lick of it.
Yep.
And then I think, is it JR or Vince who's like, can you say that again, pal? Or something, basically. And he kind of gives it over again. Basically, he says he's got 2 weeks to worry about Faarooq, but he's only got 1 week he has a decision to make tonight that can affect the rest of his life. So I like that he's got these two storylines going at the same time, and it shows that this one is important, but he's still worrying about Faarooq. He's not passing Faarooq off as a non-threat, which is kind of neat. So,
and it's kind of showing, Undertaker's distracted here. You're
Yeah,
bringing
he
in
is.
doubt. You would normally think, oh yeah, he should be able to take care of Faarooq pretty easily,
Sure,
but
yeah.
he's so distracted by all this stuff with Paul Bearer that it's increasing Farouk's odds that maybe he's going to steal the title away and make the nation even more powerful here. That was also. Oh, go ahead.
He could have been backstage in the purple room, sitting in one of those King of the Ring inflatable chairs for $70.
$70, dude, for a blow up chair.
$59.95 plus $11 shipping and handling. I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh man, I definitely wanted it though. I thought blow up chairs were so cool. I had one at one point.
I had one eventually. Yeah,
not a King of the Ring
middle school.
one, sadly.
Nope.
I was gonna say that D'Lo Brown match, actually his first ever match with the company, or as D'Lo Brown. He wrestled as
Really
a jobber
cool.
a few times, different name, but his first time as D'Lo Brown. And
he has no chest protector and no head swivels. His neck is fine.
Nothing like that. Paul Bearer, of course, does come out at the end of the show. This is the main event segment of the show. He comes out to speak with Vince McMahon, and he says he's been more than fair with The Undertaker with the time he's allotted him. And this promo is just, we keep saying stuff's awesome because it is. There's continuity here. He says that Brother Love brought him in all these years ago, and he didn't just bring him in off the streets. He brought him in because he's known Undertaker's family for all these years. And he says,
as I was standing over the graveside of your mother and father, I was the mortician that day. I was the funeral director. But you know what, Undertaker? There wasn't 2 graves. No, there wasn't 2. There was 3 graves! 3 graves in the cemetery that day, dead man!
so that's just the huge secret. What does that mean? Why were there 3 graves? We didn't know until a few weeks ago that The Undertaker's parents were dead. We haven't known any of this stuff. But as he says that, the bell tolls, and Undertaker just speed walks out to the ring.
Yeah.
He didn't want Paul Bearer to say anything more about this. And he says that, Paul, I hate you with all that I am. I loathe you. I despise you for what you've done to me. And he hopes that the ones who loved me in the past will be able to forgive me for what I have to do tonight. And then he goes like he's going to attack Paul Bearer and sticks the goozle around his throat. The crowd starts chanting rest in peace for him. They're buying into this.
Yeah.
And Bear just like points his finger at Undertaker, starts wagging his finger at him. Undertaker eases up, and then much like back at SummerSlam 1996, the last time we saw this, the Undertaker bows down before Paul Bearer. Last time we saw him do that, Paul Bearer smashed the urn over his head, and now Undertaker bows down before Paul Bearer again all these months later, apparently controlled by Paul Bearer because of this horrible, confusing, scary secret.
Yeah, and man, I just wrote, it's awesome freaking storytelling. Again, you're bringing in the history with Brother Love, bringing him in. This stuff about him being the funeral director, and there's 3 graves, and Undertaker's selling it like it's real. It's just so cool, man. It's so awesome. And again, there's no urn here to have power over the Undertaker. It's just Paul Bearer having power. I just thought that. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but because I'm a mark. But just seeing that was so cool, man.
No, that's a great point.
Yeah, it's just really, really neat stuff. And that was the main event segment, wasn't it? I mean, of Raw. Yeah, that's how Raw went off the air. Undertaker was kneeling down to Paul Bearer like you used to with the urn, but instead of the urn, it's just fat Paul Bearer in front of him with a secret. So
it just goes to show you, again, we've talked on this show, the rise of this type of episodic storytelling, because you're competing. WCW raised the bar with the NWO and shocking stuff happening every week, and WWF is answering. You got to have this cliffhanger, something big to go off the air with. Where back in the day, a couple of years ago, you just have some random squash match and just be like, okay, we'll see you next week. And now it's like, oh, Undertaker is back with Paul Bearer. What does that mean? I got to be here next week to find out what's going on. Or maybe you got to turn into Shotgun Saturday Night, because apparently I didn't send this to you. I just watched it the other day. But
is this May 31st?
Yeah,
the 6th man.
Did you look
I
it
didn't
up?
get a chance to watch it, but I saw the match, but I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. Tell us about it.
You can find this on YouTube. Obviously, Shotgun's not on the WWE Network. This is wild. This match happened on Shotgun Saturday Night.
Crazy.
The Nation of Domination, Faarooq, Crush, and Savio faced Mankind, Vader, and The Undertaker. All managed by Paul Bearer on Shotgun. Not on Raw the next week. They put it on Shotgun Saturday Night. And this is the first time we've seen Paul Bearer accompany Undertaker to the ring since SummerSlam of last year. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's nuts. I saw that, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. But yeah, I saw that match was something that happened, and I thought that was so cool, and I'm glad you watched it, so and saw that. So that's really cool. I didn't realize that Paul Bearer was the one managing them, because I was like, why are they all together? But then it makes sense in hindsight. So.
And it's, we put it up on social media if you want to go back and watch it on Talking Taker Twitter and all that good stuff. It's not a great match. I mean, it's a TV match. You can probably guess the story of the match is that Mankind and Vader do all the work. Undertaker just kind of sulks and sits on the corner. He doesn't want to get in there. They end up forcing him in, and he goes to town, beats up Faarooq for a few minutes. Then Undertaker slaps Vader in, and Vader argues with him and gets schoolboyed by Faarooq to win. Undertaker tries to attack Vader, but Paul Bearer talks him out of it, and Undertaker just storms off. So a little bit of storyline development there, but the best part is that Brian Pillman is on commentary with Jim Ross, and he says,
You just gotta wonder exactly what The Undertaker wants to keep hidden. To join forces with Paul Bearer and to be teammates with Vader and Mankind, that secret has gotta be reprehensible. Well, I hope it's not on par with Ellen DeGeneres or Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
1997, ladies and gentlemen.
Jeez. Yeah. That's amazing. Pillman, man, the loose cannon.
Exactly.
You get a bunch of hate mail at this point nowadays.
Well, yeah, jump into... we got one more episode of Raw to get to before we get to King of the Ring. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and, again, guys, this is packed. This stuff is just packed. There's so much going on, so we really hope you're enjoying this ride, because it's fun. Again, we're building multiple storylines at one time with Undertaker. So, again, we just mentioned the last episode of Raw from Evansville. it went off the air, and you're like, what? What's the secret? You know, Undertaker's bowing down. But what you did not expect happens on the next week. You did not expect a return from Sid, Psycho Sid Vicious, back from softball league. But anyway,
yeah,
that's
I
coming
was
up in
wrong.
just a
A
second.
couple of weeks ago, I said that was his last appearance on Raw, and I was wrong. He's got a couple more appearances. And like I said, I guess I wasn't watching as close as I thought I was back when I was 11 years old. So we do get a few more gems from old Sid.
Oh yeah. So again, Raw went off the air with Undertaker last week. This week, this is a Raw 212, June 2nd, the go home show for King of the Ring. Raw opens up with Undertaker in the ring for a promo, and again, Vince asked for an explanation. What happened last week? You know, what's going on? And says it's excuse me. Undertaker says it's all about blackmail, which I thought was an interesting choice of words. Just
Considering. Yeah.
considering the racial overtones, I thought it was interesting. So it's all about blackmail. But anyway, he says he did what he had to do to protect the ones he loves, and he says that when he dies, he's not going to go to hell because he's living in it right now. Which I thought that's wrestling all over it, man. That's just
absolutely
wrestling, like super cheesy line, but it's got wrestling written all over it. So. And he said that he must take Paul Bearer back as a manager because people are being threatened. People in his life are being threatened. And he's ready for the ridicule from the creatures of the night. And he's going to make a deal with the devil so that Paul Bearer can forever burn in hell. Like, wow. That's a little vicious there.
Dude.
So, and of course.
And he also says, you know, man, last week when I had Paul Bearer by his fat neck, it would have felt great to break it like a brittle bone. Just being...
Yeah. He says fat neck, the crowd popped for that.
Yeah.
It was great. So, and old PB comes out here. Paul Bearer comes out to a lot of boos, man. He's over as a mega heel at this point, you know. And he says now he ordered Taker around, and he's going to be the ruler of the world. So they drop this line, and you're like, there's only one ruler of the world. So he's like, I've got all the power. I'm the ruler of the world. And then you hear that. The Psycho Sid music, and the crowd, like you keep saying, man, the crowd loves Sid. He's Braun Strowman before Braun Strowman was Strowman.
It's over.
Incredible. It's incredible. Hasn't been seen in months. He comes out, and the crowd loves this freaking guy. And basically, let's cut it short. He wants a rematch from WrestleMania 13, basically.
Exactly.
However, we come to find out it's not a title. It's not a title rematch. It's a non-title match, but who knows? But he wants a rematch, and the Nation comes out and say that a black man's going to rule the WWF as of next week. A lot of boos, which, ouch, that doesn't age well either. So I don't know which town they were in, but probably somewhere in the South. So anyway, Taker heads to the ring, or up the ring to the ramp to chase Faarooq. And he attacks the Nation after they interfere later on in the match, or in the show, there's a Faarooq vs. Ahmed Johnson match. Again, their rivalry has permeated the entire last year of Raw. And Undertaker comes out to attack the Nation after they interfere in that match. This is where we get an Ahmed confrontation with Undertaker, which you had mentioned they dropped some seeds a while ago, and I'll let you take it from here. So.
Well, yeah, Undertaker ends up, he's brawling with the Nation, and he accidentally tosses Faarooq into Ahmed, who Ahmed runs into the steps off of that. So Faarooq ends up getting the win over Ahmed, and so Ahmed is kind of pissed off at the Undertaker, argues with him over that, and Undertaker just chokeslams him, man.
Yep.
Undertaker's frustrated, he's got so much going on. Even though Ahmed Johnson's a babyface, he ends up just chokeslamming him, letting him out some frustration. I
don't blame him.
Yeah, exactly. And we get in the main event, like you said, a WrestleMania rematch of Sid versus The Undertaker. Before that, Mankind faces Savio Vega, and I just mentioned that because it's mentioned on commentary during that match that Mankind is no longer managed by Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer has decided to focus all of his attention on The Undertaker now. And so not only is that putting more focus on this Paul Bearer Undertaker storyline, it's also the beginning of Mankind's babyface turn. All these interviews that we've seen are slowly turning him babyface, and now he's dropped Paul Bearer. He has an excuse to do that, so it's all really tying together here. It's really, really neat.
Yeah, and if you listen to the crowd when he comes out, he gets a babyface reaction. I mean, it's not Undertaker levels or but he's good. He's getting over as a face at this point, and even the commentary points it out. Like, these people are standing and cheering for him. So yeah, good on, man. That's how you turn somebody.
Exactly. The crowd, they're cheering for Mankind. They're still cheering for Undertaker here. He still gets a huge pop, and the commentary mentions that. They say they're kind of surprised. Or JR says he's surprised Undertaker still got cheered, even though he's with Paul Bearer. And Vince McMahon says, well, the crowds understand that why he's doing what he has to do here, that he's being blackmailed. They don't crap on him for doing that. They understand what's going on. And it's a quick match. Honestly, to me, this was almost better than their WrestleMania match.
Yeah.
They work a lot better, work a lot faster. It's a condensed version of that match, but Undertaker gets the clean win here. Gets with a tombstone on Sid to make him look strong going into King of the Ring. And the Nation ends up attacking Undertaker just immediately afterward. Sid tries to rescue him, but the Undertaker beats him up too. And just like a few weeks ago, they just pull out the belt and start whipping the Undertaker. And they pose, do the Nation Domination Fist up into the air to end the show and take us into King of the Ring.
Again, lots of build-up. A lot of stuff going on. We're building up into King of the Ring. Here we are finally, however many minutes into this podcast, talking about the match. And again, we could have broken this up into 4 episodes probably. There was so much going on if we wanted to get down to the nitty-gritty. But anyway, King of the Ring, again, brought to you by Super Soaker and also Sonny from Providence, Rhode Island, the Civic Center there. So luckily, the WWF title match is the actual main event.
Yes.
I believe it would have been Brett and Sean with the handcuffs to the, but again, they screwed themselves out of that one. So Undertaker gets top billing here, the main event, and there's a promo before the match of Faarooq in the backstage. He's saying he's going to be the first black champion. Nation Domination comes out first.
You missed the best line of that promo.
Oh, did I?
You said Faarooq said,
Undertaker, don't worry about Paul Bearer's blackmail. You worry about this blackmail.
Oh, so he picked up on it too. I didn't even, man, that slipped in my mind.
Yeah,
my bad. There is a wonderful line that Paul Bearer is going to feed us in a minute, though. But man, good thing he picked up on the blackmail. We got JR and Vince on commentary again, and because Lawler was in the King of the Ring,
right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and like you said, Faarooq comes out. He's got the whole nation with him, and they're really selling on commentary that Undertaker is so distracted by all this going on with Paul Bearer that Faarooq actually has the advantage here, and he's probably going to become the first ever black champion. Yeah.
So that's unfortunately it doesn't pan out for him. And who was the first? Has there been an actual WWF champion that's black?
Well, The Rock.
He counts. I guess that's true.
Yeah, The Rock.
Half. Yeah, okay.
And Booker T. I didn't hold the WWF title, world title.
Right, he was and Bobby Lashley was Bobby Lashley
ECW
world title,
champion.
or is he just ECW? Oh,
yeah,
that doesn't count. Anyway, so again, before this match, Faarooq is in the ring, and Doc Hendricks is interviewing Undertaker backstage with Paul Bearer, and it's funny. This is fantastic. Again, we talk about Paul Bearer on another level here. So Undertaker starts to talk. He says that his fans will always love him no matter what the secret is. He hopes so. And as he's saying that, Paul Bearer goes, "Zip it, Lazarus." Oh man. Oh I'm sorry. Yeah, Doc Hendricks says the fans will always love him no matter what the secret is. And then as Taker tries to say something, he's like, and then "Zip it, Lazarus." I just thought that was fantastic. He's going all out here, man. Paul Bearer is. And so anyway, Undertaker enters, and again, he's announced with Paul Bearer on pay-per-view for the first time and since what was it, SummerSlam?
Since SummerSlam, yep.
So yeah, this is the first time he's actually announced by the Fink, coming down the aisle with Paul Bearer. I thought that was pretty interesting. So,
and Paul Bearer grabs the belt from the Undertaker at the beginning of the match, and that allows Faarooq to get a sneak attack on him to start things off. And that's standard Undertaker match starting. A lot of fighting in the corner, punches in the corner. Paul Bearer is just screaming at Undertaker, giving him instructions. He's telling him to hook the leg. That's all you gotta do, win the match.
Yeah, telling him how to pin him. Like, you gotta hook the leg this time. It's just funny.
Mr. Man is like, Paul Bearer out there giving instructions as if he's ever been a participant in something like that.
Little fat neck. So,
and then it starts off with a great high spot because Undertaker goes for old school. And then as he's standing on the rope, as he's walked across the rope, just changes his mind and does, I don't even know what to call it. It's not a plancha. He just kind of falls backwards onto the Nation. I thought at first Faarooq had shoved him off, but I went back and watched it, and Undertaker just like decides to dive onto the Nation to the outside. It was really weird back first dive.
Yeah, he like notices they're out there. He's like, screw it. And he just jumps backwards onto all of them. And luckily they catch him. And, I mean, I guess they did. But did you notice there's a fan in the front row with a sign that has a riddle on it during this part?
I don't think I saw that.
If it's not on our social media, yeah, it'll be there. But it says, "What comes up from the ground but won't go back down? The Undertaker." That's it. It's probably like a 6-year-old kid.
I love it.
Made that at home, you know. But that's great. Like, what comes up from the ground but won't go back down? The Undertaker. We've got all kind of new riddles and nicknames for Taker during this episode, so I love it, man.
Why is that not a T-shirt?
So, I don't know. Should be. So, but after that back first dive, Undertaker gets back up on the apron and hits the apron stunner. Again, I didn't realize how much of a signature move that was until we started covering these shows. Now he goes for the real old school, not jumping to the outside, but he gets the Nation crotches him, I think. One of them comes up and interferes, and basically the story of this match is the Nation's surrounding the outside, and they're going to just do classic heel work, just, drawing the referee, distracting the referee on one side of the ring so that Faarooq or one of the others can do a dirty, heel spot on the opposite side while the ref's back is turned. This match is not a 5-star classic or anything, but it's really good storytelling. Again, especially when it comes to babyface and heel roles, you really see the heels do their jobs. I give them credit. Give them credit here, doing the heel work. It's great.
Yeah, they're doing that really well. Undertaker and Faarooq, in my opinion, they don't gel in the ring too much here. It's a lot of one guy will do a move, then the other guy will just move out of the way or reverse it, and it's definitely not one of the strongest matches we've seen in ring wise, but they are telling, I get the story that they're telling, and they're doing a decent job with that, with the NOD, even though like JR mentions on commentary, he doesn't know why the ref is allowing all these guys to be on the outside.
Sure.
But
he says we should have multiple referees out here.
Yeah.
He said, I'm sure tomorrow President Gorilla Monsoon is going to dole out some fines.
That's right.
Tomorrow night. So,
but it's telling the story of Undertaker.
Sure.
You're trying to raise the doubt of, can the Undertaker overcome all these odds?
Right.
It's understandable. Faarooq tries to attack Undertaker with the steps, but Undertaker just boots him right back into his face.
Has nobody seen an Undertaker match at this point?
I know.
You cannot do that with the steps. He's going to boot it right in your face, which is awesome. So, yeah. After that, it's a pile driver.
Yeah, Faarooq hits a big pile driver.
Regular old Memphis wrestling pile driver. It looks awesome. Gets 2 count. So, and then the crowd comes alive here with rest in peace chants.
Mm-hmm. Faarooq even puts his feet up on the ropes for leverage, trying to get a pin and trying to win the match. And JR says that, he had a good line, he said that Paul Bearer may be a big old pimple on the rear end of the world, but the last thing he wants is for the Undertaker to lose that title.
Exactly.
Again, saying Paul Bearer is terrible, but he wants the Undertaker to win. That's the whole idea here. He wants the power of having the WWF champion under his control. So he's not going to let the Undertaker. He's not going to let the Nation win or cheat to win. He doesn't want to hurt the Undertaker in that way. He wants to control the Undertaker and have all the power. So
exactly.
Again, there's some standard Undertaker stuff. He does the jawbreaker, hits a big splash, ends up hitting Faarooq's knees off that big splash, and I wrote again, there's just not a lot of chemistry here, not a ton of heat from the crowd. either.
Yeah, I was going to say the crowd's kind of again because this is not the story they're invested in. They're invested in the mankind,
Exactly.
or not the mankind, the Kane, what will eventually become the Kane story. That's the story we're invested in, not this white savior. I'm not black. I'm not white. I'm just dead. So that's not selling it here. But that's why I don't think this was originally supposed to be main event. I bet it was that Brett Shawn match. But anyway, the end of this match comes up just kind of out of nowhere. Paul Bearer is coaching Undertaker up. He's telling him to get up, and on the outside, I guess the seeds were sowed for this a little bit earlier during the King of the Ring matches. But all of a sudden, Savio Vega and Crush and Clarence Mason started arguing outside. I'm not sure what kicked it off, but again, there was some arguing earlier in the King of the Ring qualifying matches and stuff. But so Faarooq slams Undertaker in the ring, and he's distracted by the arguing outside. He kind of, he's the commander of the nation. He kind of goes over there to kind of jaw jack with him and tell him to shut up and get back together. And when he does, he turns around straight into a tombstone, and Undertaker hits the classic pin and wins the match at 13 minutes and 43 seconds.
Yep,
so,
that's it. It was very out of nowhere. Yeah, clean win.
Yeah, and then I do want to touch on something that happens after the match and kind of where it's headed to, because, again, clean win here, no shenanigans. This is a one and done for Undertaker. You can tell it's not going to continue here, but the story being told here is for the nation and what's going to become of them. I think Savio and Crush both get choke slams from Undertaker, and eventually, this is eventually going to lead to Savio Vega running Los Boricuas, right? And then Crush running the DOA, the Disciples of Apocalypse, which I began tuning in very shortly after this match, I would say. I was trying to think this week. I believe it was very shortly, but those three factions were feuding, and I always wondered, like, why the crap are these three factions feuding? Like, but I didn't have, I guess, the interest to go online and research, a couple months behind, but I just thought it was neat at this point in my life, now, going back and looking and being like, oh, that's why they all came from the same place, and now they have their own, they're the bosses of their own leagues, and now they're feuding. I just thought that was kind of neat, personally.
I do too. I think the whole Gang Wars storyline is a great idea in theory. The execution of it, and especially in-ring wise, not one of the best things we're ever going to see. But yeah, we're going to see that in the Raws over the next few weeks, that the dissolution of the Nation of Domination and the formation of Los Boricuas and DOA and all of that. So their dissension causes Faarooq to lose and not become the first black WWF champion.
Right.
But
it's not over yet.
Show's not over.
Else happened.
Yeah. Undertaker kind of puts his head down in the corner. He's won, but he's still just upset that he has to be in there with Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer starts screaming at Undertaker, demanding him to keep attacking Faarooq to do more damage to him. Undertaker tries to walk away, and Paul Bearer slaps him across the face.
Yeah.
And so Undertaker walks back over to Faarooq, delivers a choke slam, and he's like asking Paul Bearer, "Is that enough?" Paul Bearer says, "No, give me more, give me more." Undertaker goes over and gives him Faarooq a choke slam, gives him another choke slam, and Paul Bearer just continues to scream and yell over Undertaker. When all of a sudden, Ahmed Johnson runs out, and he starts trying to talk some sense into the Undertaker, telling him to get it together.
I think you could have stopped it. He starts trying to talk. Dude, I did not understand a word he said, and I have headphones in when I watch this.
Wait a minute. This is fat ass Universe, boy. What you do? Get the nigga, you can see what he's doing.
It was not human English. It was such gibberish.
You gotta turn the closed captioning on.
I think the typist was confused that day. It is rough, man. I don't know what he said. He's like the Black Scott Steiner. I love it.
That's
so good.
Perfect comparison.
Yeah. But go ahead and tell us what he's trying to get across.
Well, like we said, we teased that Ahmed Johnson, he's a little bit sympathetic to Faarooq's comments, and we also seen him getting a little shoving match with The Undertaker, And now Ahmed shoves the Undertaker and gives him the Pearl River Plunge.
Yeah.
To kind of end this show. Ahmed looking strong, hitting his finisher on the WWF champion. Paul Bearer just looks shocked. And people start throwing trash in the ring, much like they used to do with the NWO. This is crazy. Ahmed Johnson's been this huge, number 2 or 3 babyface for the company over the past few years. Not quite at Sid level, but I mean, Ahmed Johnson's always been over. The crowd's always been into him. His intensity, his charisma just kind of jumps off the screen at people. So this is pretty shocking.
So did his clothes.
They jumped up into him, not quite off the screen.
But yeah, man, you're right. In all seriousness.
Paul Bearer starts yelling at Undertaker. Undertaker sits up, and his music plays as the show ends, and Paul Bearer kind of runs up the aisleway, and Undertaker stalks him to the back, and that's how the show goes off the air. It's a pretty weird way to end the show with this Ahmed Johnson turn, with Undertaker getting beat up again, sort of, to end a pay-per-view. And even though he's won clean with the championship again the past couple months, they have sort of a weird storyline to end the show. It's not quite enough to just have him win and look strong. They got to do this extra stuff at the end. So it's going to lead to some more interesting stuff on our next week's episode. Over the next week is more chaos behind the scenes. Over the next month as we build into the next match. It's looking like it's supposed to be Undertaker versus Ahmed Johnson, but as we'll see next week, we don't quite get there. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was an interesting experiment to put Faarooq in this slot and to do this kind of feud. Didn't quite work. They tried something different, and it just doesn't quite gel. It's almost too much of this realistic political stuff, and like you said, it's too much going on with all the Kane stuff. That's where people's attention is. That's what they want to be seeing more of. Maybe they should have done like Undertaker versus Mankind here instead of a couple months ago, and tried to tie that into all this Paul Bearer stuff some more. I don't know. Doesn't quite work, but at least we're getting the seeds of this awesome Kane stuff. The storyline stuff is great. Match itself, meh.
Yeah, exactly. But it does make you want to watch the next week. Again, the ending of this felt like an episode of Raw, honestly.
Right.
It felt
not
like
a pay-per-view.
Not a major, because this isn't even in your house. This is one of the big 5. This is King of the Ring. So it felt like. But again, what they're doing, and Russo will tell you if you listen to his interviews, he wants you to go like what's going to happen tomorrow night on Raw. He wants you to leave you with something at the end. There's no, Bruce Pritchard always says Hogan must pose. That's not what we're having here. Hogan's not posing. Undertaker's not up on his feet, celebrating. He's getting knocked down again, and see if we'll get back up. What was that song? Chumbawamba?
Yeah.
Get knocked down, but I get up again. Yeah. Jump thumping. Anyway, that was a very pertinent song in '97, wasn't it?
I think that's when it came out. Yeah, I think that's when it was out.
But Vince does say on commentary that Undertaker is disgusted with himself. He looks disgusted with himself, which again is cool. A little nuance we're going to add in there. So yeah, I'm excited for the ride and where the rest of it goes. And yeah, it looks like we're headed toward Ahmed and Undertaker, but not so fast.
Exactly. Well, I'm excited too. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll share some Ahmed Johnson thoughts next week.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
We're excited to keep this journey going. We hope you are as well. We thank you for listening. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, any of those, or all the above. Whatever. We'll appreciate that.
Sure.
Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on all the social media. Let us know what you thought of this match, what you thought of this episode, what you thought of The Undertaker curing racism back in 1997. Let us know about all that. And if you if you want to support the show, the best thing you can do, of course, is to share it, retweet it, tell your friends about it. If you want to support us monetarily, you can go pick up a Taker Easy t-shirt over at tpublic.com. You can hit the links on our social media pages as well. You can pick up a sticker, you can pick up a mug, a hoodie, any of that stuff with our Taker Easy logo. And who knows, maybe we'll get some other stuff up there one day. We've got some other ideas. Maybe we'll throw some up there. But anybody who's ever picked up one of those, we appreciate it. And we love your support. We love you guys. We thank you for listening. Shout out to my our good friend Jay Stanley. I got to hang out with him this weekend. He told me he still listens to every episode, and he's loving it, going along for the ride. So we appreciate you tuning in, Jay, and of course all you other creatures of the night who listen every week. It's awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you were there, Providence, Rhode Island, on this night in King of the Ring, I believe it was June 8th, 2000. I always say 2000. June 8th, 1997. Please let us know if you were there. If you were the guy that held the sign with the riddle in the front row, we really want to hear from you.
Or if you bought a King of the
awesome.
Ring inflatable seat, please let us know if you have one of those.
Please tweet us a picture of you in it if you have it still. Anyway, awesome. Or if you have one of Sonya's Super Soakers, please let us know. Anyway, no, her actual Super Soakers. So, on that note,
not if you super soaked.
Hey! Ladies and gentlemen, take her easy.
Sonny's Search and Soak Mission. Sonny, someone said you want to see me.
See you? No. But I did want to ask you if you thought the wethead was still alive.
Yeah, I do.
Good. Because the rest of you is about to join it.
Chill. Was that the honky-tonk man being watched down the hallway? You know, King, I believe it was.
The Super Soaker CPS 2000 and the XP85 Triple Shot allow you to deliver the fun.
Wetter is better.
Super Soaker, wetter is better.